Zelen sat in the dark corner of a storage room. Her body shook with fear. The cold metal walls pressed around her, and the only light came from a small crack in the door. Outside, someone knocked. Tap, tap, tap. "Zelen," a voice called. "It's me. I brought food." She didn't answer. She pulled her knees to her chest, her breathing slow and quiet. Her green skin was bruised. Her long, thin fingers held the sharp edge of a broken tool, just in case. She had been hiding here for 2 days. No one else had come. Only him. The human. Liam. He was tall, strong, and soft-spoken. At first, he looked safe. He had picked her up from the crash site. She had been bleeding, weak, half-conscious. She remembered him wrapping her in a blanket. He didn't speak much then. He only whispered, "You'll be okay." But now she wasn't sure. She had heard stories. Terrible stories. On her home planet, elders told the young ones, never trust a human. They smile before they bite. They treat kindness like bait. One elder had said something she would never forget. When a human chooses a mate, they fatten them up. Then they eat them. Zelen had laughed back then. It sounded like a joke. But now, the knocking continued. Tap, tap, tap. "I'll just leave the food here," Liam said. "It's warm. Please eat something." His footsteps slowly faded away. Zelen moved closer to the door. She peeked through the crack. A small tray sat outside with a bowl of soup, bread, and a folded cloth. Steam still rose from the bowl. Her stomach growled. She hadn't eaten in over 30 hours. But what if the food was poisoned? What if he wanted to make her weak? What if this was the fattening the elders warned about? She backed away from the door and sat down again. The room was cold. Her toes were numb. The human jacket she wore was too big, but it was the only thing keeping her warm. She closed her eyes. She tried to think of home, but it only made the fear worse. Zelen remembered the escape pod crashing. She had landed far from her group. Her communicator broke. The ship above was gone. She had crawled through snow, blood on her arms. Then the lights had blinded her, and Liam had appeared. He had taken her to a small building in the forest. No fences, no locks, just wood, warmth, and silence. But then she found the book. It was on a shelf in his room. A red cover, faded pages. She couldn't read much of the human language, but she saw the pictures. One page showed a human sitting at a table. On the plate was something that looked like her kind. Something with green skin. She froze, dropped the book, backed away. That night she ran. Now she was here, hiding behind crates of old supplies. Zelen opened her eyes again. The room was darker now. Night had fallen. She crawled forward, opened the door just an inch, and pulled the tray inside. The soup was still warm. It smelled sweet, not like poison. But she didn't trust it. She placed it beside her, untouched. Outside, the wind howled through the cracks in the building. Somewhere, a door creaked. Something moved. She froze. It wasn't Liam. Something else was walking outside. Zelen's breath caught in her throat. She gripped the sharp metal tighter. Thump. Footsteps. Heavy ones. Too heavy for a human. She crawled to the vent near the floor and looked out. A large shape passed by. Dark armor. A wide head. Not human. Not safe. Her heart pounded. That was a tracker. A bounty hunter. One of her own kind. But trained to kill anyone who ran from the mission. She had seen them before. And now it had found her. The tracker paused near Liam's door. It sniffed the air. Zelen covered her mouth. Then it walked away. Gone. She stayed frozen for 10 minutes, waiting. When she was sure it was safe, she turned back to the tray. The soup had gone cold. But this time, she picked up the spoon. She didn't trust Liam. But maybe she feared something else more. The warning they gave her. Zelen didn't sleep that night. She sat with her back against the wall, eyes locked on the door, the cold soup still half-finished beside her. The shadows in the corners felt alive. Every creak in the floor made her flinch. Her ears stayed sharp for the sound of footsteps. Liam's, or the bounty hunters. Her mind kept repeating the same line over and over. Humans feed you comfort, then feed on you. She had heard it as a child. Back then, it sounded like a scary bedtime story. Now it felt real. Zelen wrapped the oversized jacket tighter around her. Her hands shook, not from cold this time, but from fear. What if Liam was just pretending to help her? What if he was waiting for her to feel safe before? Knock, knock. Her heart skipped. The knock was gentle this time. No voice, just 2 soft taps. She held her breath. A paper slid under the door. She waited a minute, then crawled forward. Her hands trembled as she picked up the note. The handwriting was messy but simple enough to read. Are you okay? Please don't be afraid. I'll stay outside if that makes you feel safe. Liam. She stared at it. Why did he care? She didn't know, but it made her chest feel tight. Hours passed. Liam didn't knock again. She heard his footsteps walk away, just like he promised. Zelen slowly opened the door and stepped into the hallway. Her legs ached. Her skin stung from dried blood and cold. The hallway lights flickered. She walked silently, keeping close to the walls. She needed to see if Liam was gone, but what she saw stopped her in her tracks. There he was, sleeping on the floor near the fireplace. No blanket, no pillow, just curled up near the warmth like a tired animal. He wasn't guarding the door. He wasn't standing with a weapon. He was just there, and he had left the door unlocked. Zelen's eyes narrowed. He was either very stupid or very kind, or both. She looked around the room. It was messy but full of strange objects, tools, metal pieces, books, and in the corner, her escape pod's broken transmitter. Her eyes widened. Liam had dragged it in. She walked closer and knelt beside it. It was dented but not destroyed. She placed her hand on the side and whispered a command in her language. A faint light blinked. Still alive. Still holding data. It just needed power. Zelen smiled slightly, for the first time in days. Then she heard a whisper. Cold, Liam muttered in his sleep, curling tighter. Zelen stepped back. Her smile faded. She turned away and left the room quietly. Back inside the storage space, she tried to sleep, but her dreams twisted into nightmares. She saw herself strapped to a table, humans laughing above her. One wore Liam's face, another wore a soldier's mask, and then she saw her parents, faces full of disappointment. You trusted a human. You betrayed your blood. She woke up with a gasp. Her chest was damp with sweat, her breath short. She pressed her hands over her eyes. She didn't know what was more dangerous, trusting Liam, or trusting her people again. The next morning, Liam was gone. The fireplace burned quietly, and on the tray outside her door, there was no food. Just a small device, a voice recorder. Zelen stared at it. She didn't want to touch it, but her curiosity won. She pressed play. Liam's voice came through. Calm, soft. I don't know what you were told about humans, but I'm sorry if it scared you. I'm not here to hurt you. I found your transmitter, and I think I can fix it. But I need your help. Just a few words. That's all. Zelen held the recorder tight. He wasn't asking for trust. He was asking for a chance. She stood up and walked to the window. The snow outside had stopped falling. The sky was pale and silent. The forest stood still, hiding things she couldn't see. Then something caught her eye, a shadow moving between the trees. She froze. It was tall. Too tall to be human. The bounty hunter. Back again. She stepped away from the window, panic rising. He was tracking her, and if she didn't leave soon, Liam would be in danger too. But where would she go? She had no ship, no weapon, no home. Only a human who left her food, fixed her pod, slept on the floor, and never forced her to speak. She looked down at the recorder in her hand. Then she whispered her first words into it. "You said you need help. I do too." Not all monsters growl. Zelen didn't know what she expected after sending the message. Maybe silence. Maybe anger. Maybe Liam would stop helping her. But an hour later, he left something new at the door. Not food. Not a tool. A blanket. Thick, soft, and warm. Folded carefully. Left without a word. Zelen stared at it for a long time. She didn't touch it. Not yet. Instead, she sat in the corner, thinking. Her people had called humans dangerous, cruel, hungry for war. But Liam hadn't shouted. He hadn't pushed. He hadn't even asked her name again. He waited, and he gave. That didn't feel like a monster. Later that night, she couldn't sleep again. So she moved through the building, quiet, careful, every step light on the floor. She wanted to understand this human, see who he really was. She found him in the small workshop room. He didn't hear her. He was focused on her escape pod's transmitter, tools in hand, brow furrowed, tired eyes glowing in the dim light. He muttered to himself, "Maybe if I cross this line. No, too hot." Zelen stayed hidden, watching. She saw his hands, cut and burned from hours of work. She saw a drawing on the table, a sketch of her pod, notes written beside it. Words like, "Don't damage memory core, keep the language patterns safe." He wasn't trying to steal it. He was trying to fix it. For her. A soft sound escaped her lips. Half a breath, half a whisper. Liam turned sharply. "Who's there?" Zelen stepped back. Too late. His eyes met hers. Both froze. Seconds passed. Liam didn't move. He didn't reach for a weapon. Instead, he raised his hand slowly, palms open. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." Zelen didn't run. Not this time. She stepped into the light. Just a little. Enough for him to see her clearly. Her green skin. Her large violet eyes. Her long fingers and thin frame. Shaking slightly, watching him like a cornered animal. "You fixed my transmitter?" she asked softly. Liam nodded. "Trying to. It's not ready yet." Zelen lowered her eyes. "Why?" she whispered. "Why help me?" Liam looked confused. "Because you needed it. But I ran." "I know. I broke your window. I fixed it. I thought humans eat." She stopped, embarrassed, afraid. Liam didn't laugh. He didn't mock her. He just nodded slowly. "I've heard worse." Zelen looked up. "You're not mad?" "No, just glad you're not hiding anymore." Then something changed. A sound. Outside. Both turned. Thump. Zelen's eyes widened. "He's back." "Who?" "The bounty hunter. He's tracking me." Liam grabbed a light. "Stay behind me." But Zelen moved fast. She pushed him back into the shadows. "No, don't show yourself. He'll kill you." They crouched together in silence. Footsteps echoed outside the wall. Heavy, wet, inhuman. The floor creaked. The air felt colder. Even the fire seemed to die down. Zelen held her breath. Her heart pounded so loud she was sure the creature could hear it. The shadow passed the window. A tall figure. Metal skin. Glowing red eyes. It paused. Sniffed the air. Then moved on. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the sound faded. Liam looked at Zelen. "What was that thing?" "A hunter," she whispered. "My people send them to erase failures." "You're not a failure." "To them, I am." She stood up. "We need to move. He'll come back." Liam hesitated. "Your transmitter." "Leave it. He'll destroy it if he finds it." Zelen ran to the storage room, and grabbed the blanket. Not because it was warm, because Liam gave it without asking. She wrapped it around herself and turned to him. "You still want to help me?" "Yes." "Then come with me." They slipped out through the back, into the forest. Cold air, deep snow. But Zelen didn't feel alone anymore, and Liam didn't feel afraid. Because sometimes monsters don't growl. Sometimes they fix transmitters, leave blankets, and wait in silence. And sometimes aliens don't run. They stay, and they protect. The story in his eyes. The snow was deep, and the forest was quiet. Zilin walked ahead, her sharp eyes watching every tree, every shadow. Liam followed close behind, breathing hard. His boots weren't made for this much snow. His face was red from the cold, but he didn't complain. They hadn't spoken since they left the house. Zelen's mind raced with worry. The bounty hunter would return. He never failed. He would track her scent. He would find the human. And he would kill them both. They stopped beside an old fallen tree. Zelen scanned the area. "We'll rest here for now," she said. Liam sat down on the trunk. His hands were shaking. Zelen opened the blanket and draped it over his shoulders. "You need it more," he said. She shook her head. "You gave it to me first." They sat in silence, listening to the wind. Then Liam asked, "Why did they send someone after you?" Zelen looked away. "Because I ran." "Why?" She hesitated. No one had asked her that before, not even her own kind. "I was born different," she said finally. "I didn't want war. I didn't want to fight. I asked questions. That was enough. Enough for them to call you a traitor." Liam asked softly. She nodded. Liam looked at her, really looked. And for the first time, Zelen didn't feel judged. The fire in his eyes wasn't anger. It was something else. Sadness. "You asked me why I helped you," Liam said. "Now I'll tell you." Zelen turned to him, curious. "I had a brother. His name was Seth." He paused. His voice was quiet now, almost broken. "Seth was soft, kind, like you. When the war started, people like him got hurt first. He trusted too easily. One day, he tried to help an alien soldier. The soldier shot him." Zelen's throat tightened. "I hated all of you after that," Liam continued. "I wanted to join the fight. I wanted revenge." He looked at the snow, lost in the memory. "But then I found you, bleeding, half dead, and I saw Seth's face." Zelen whispered, "But I'm not your brother." "I know," he said, "but you were scared. You were alone. And I couldn't be the kind of person who let someone like you die." Zelen didn't know what to say. She had feared him, hated herself for trusting him. But now, hearing the story in his voice, something shifted. Her fear became quiet. A soft crunch in the snow made them both freeze. Zelen stood, eyes scanning the trees. Liam rose beside her, reaching for a broken branch as a weapon. Then, movement. But it wasn't the bounty hunter. It was a small creature, round body, big eyes, fur covered in snow. It sniffed the air and waddled away. Liam laughed softly, his body relaxing. Zelen let out a shaky breath. "You're not a fighter." "No," he said, smiling. "I fix things. That's all I ever wanted to do." She nodded. "I destroy things, by accident." Liam looked at her. "You saved me from that hunter. You fixed my pod." They looked at each other. Not human, not alien, just two souls in the snow. Zelen sat down again, close to him. "The bounty hunter will return," she said. "He always returns." "Then we should leave the forest," Liam said. "Go somewhere he can't follow." "There's nowhere like that." "There has to be." Zelen looked at the stars above. "Maybe. But first, we have to stop running." "What do you mean?" "We face him. Together." Liam's eyes widened. "That thing is a killer." "So was I," she whispered. He stared at her, and for a moment, she expected fear. But it didn't come. Only silence. And then a quiet answer. Okay. Zelen's heart beat faster, not from fear, from something else. She had never felt this before. Trust. The truth she never knew. The cave was cold, but it was safe, for now. Zelen sat near the edge, her legs crossed, the blanket wrapped around her shoulders. Liam was further back, warming his hands over a small fire they built with broken branches. The flames danced in his tired eyes. Neither spoke for a while. Silence felt easier. But Zelen couldn't stop thinking. She stared at the snow outside the cave, her mind heavy with questions. Why had her people lied to her? Why did they tell her humans were cruel, when this one had shown her nothing but care? Liam noticed her staring and spoke gently. You're thinking about home. Zelen shook her head. I'm thinking about the lies. He tilted his head. What lies? She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small silver chip. This is from my pod. It holds memory files. History. Lessons from my people. Liam leaned closer. Can we read it? Yes, she said. But the most important chapter is locked. It's always been locked. Why? She looked down. They told us it was corrupted, but I never believed them. Liam reached into his bag and took out a small device. Let's unlock it. A few minutes later, the chip flickered to life. A hologram appeared in the air, a projection of text and images. Zelen touched the floating screen. Her fingers moved quickly, entering old codes. The locked chapter opened. Both of them leaned in. Lines of ancient script filled the air. Pictures flashed across the screen. Zelen's face went pale. There in full color was a human and an alien, standing side by side. Not as enemies, but as allies. Then more images, humans and her people fighting together against a third species, unknown and monstrous. Liam's jaw dropped. Your people, and mine. We were friends. Zelen whispered, no, we were family. Her hand hovered over a name written below the image. The Unity Pact. A forgotten treaty. A lost promise. Zelen scrolled further. More truth spilled out. It wasn't the humans who broke the bond. It was her own kind. They erased this, she said, voice trembling. They told us humans betrayed us, but it wasn't true. They hid this so we would hate you. Liam sat back, stunned. Why would they do that? Control, she whispered. Fear makes obedience easy. If we feared you, we'd never question them. Her head dropped. They lied to us for generations. Liam didn't say anything for a while. Then he reached over and gently pressed a hand on her shoulder. You know the truth now. That matters. Zelen nodded slowly. But deep inside, something else was rising. Anger. Not at Liam. At her leaders. Her world. The bounty hunter who came to silence her. They all wanted her quiet. But now she had a voice. And she was done hiding. A sharp beep came from her wristband. Her eyes widened. No. Liam looked at her. What is it? The beacon. It's still active. The hunter is tracking it. How long? Minutes, she said. He'll be here. Liam stood up. Then let's run. No, Zelen said, standing. Her voice was steady now. We don't run this time. She took off the blanket. Her posture changed. She looked taller, stronger. Liam saw her for what she really was now, not just a scared girl from another world, but a fighter with purpose. I have something they're afraid of, she said. Truth. Zelen nodded, and I'm going to give it to them. She turned back to the fire, held the memory chip above it. No, Liam said, you'll destroy it. Zelen smiled. Not yet. She pressed a button. The chip glowed. Then she placed it inside her wristband. Now, she whispered, every signal on this planet is going to receive it. Liam stared in awe. You're going to broadcast the truth. Yes, to Earth, to my people, to everyone. But what if the hunter gets here first? Zillan looked out into the snow. Her eyes were sharp now. Then he'll hear it too. Outside, the storm was returning, and with it, a shadow moved fast across the frozen trees. It didn't roar. It didn't growl. But it was coming. And this time, Zillan wasn't afraid. She had the truth, and she wasn't hiding anymore. Run or trust. The wind screamed across the mountains. Zillan stood just outside the cave, eyes locked on the white horizon. The snow danced like ghosts in the air. Her breath fogged in front of her lips, but she didn't move. She was waiting. Liam stood behind her, holding the transmitter she had repaired. It was glowing now, broadcasting. The truth was being sent across satellites, frequencies, even old human radio channels. Somewhere, someone was listening. And somewhere, someone was coming. But not all of them were coming to help. Liam's voice broke the silence. Are you sure you want to do this? Zillan nodded. It's too late to stop. My people will hear the truth. So will yours. He looked at her, snow clinging to his eyebrows. But the hunter, what if he destroys it all before they hear? Zillan turned to face him. Then we stop him. Liam's hands tightened on the transmitter. I'm not a soldier. She looked him in the eyes. Neither am I. But today, we fight like we are. Suddenly, everything went quiet. Too quiet. The wind stopped. Even the trees held their breath. And then, crack. A tree snapped in the distance. Zillan stepped forward. He's close. Liam looked around, eyes wide. What do we do? She didn't answer with words. She walked straight out into the open snow. The bounty hunter stepped out from the trees. Taller than any human. Armored dark like metal and bone. His red eyes glowed in the storm. His claws flexed. His voice came through a speaker on his chest. Subject Z-319. You are charged with information theft and violation of Code 9. You will be erased. Zillan didn't flinch. She stepped closer. I know the truth, she said. Truth is not for you to decide, the hunter replied. It belongs to everyone, she said. And now, they have it. She pointed at the sky. Behind her, the transmitter beeped. Signal sent. Too late to stop it. The hunter growled. His arm lifted. A weapon unfolded, glowing with blue heat. Liam stepped beside Zillan, shaking but steady. Don't, he said. You are not part of this, the hunter growled. She is not your enemy, Liam said. And if you hurt her, you'll prove everything she just exposed. The hunter paused. Zillan stepped forward again. You were built to follow orders, but today you can choose. Silence. Then, the hunter's weapon powered down. He stood still. For a moment, Zillan thought he might walk away. But then he said one word. Others. Zillan's eyes widened. They're coming. The hunter nodded. 3 more. En route. 2 minutes. Liam grabbed Zillan's arm. We have to go. But Zillan didn't move. She stared at the hunter. Why didn't you shoot? He looked at her, and for the first time, there was hesitation. No one ever asked me to choose, he said. Then he turned away and vanished into the storm. Liam pulled her back toward the cave. They had 2 minutes, maybe less. Inside, the fire was dying. Liam knelt beside the transmitter. It's out of power, he said. The message, it might not reach far enough. Zillan reached into her jacket and pulled out a small green crystal. This is from my pod, she said. It's enough for one last burst. She handed it to him. He looked at her. If we use this, your pod can't fly again. I don't need to fly, she said. I need the galaxy to hear us. Liam pressed the crystal into the transmitter. It sparked, hummed. Then the light turned white. Pure. The signal burst into the sky, brighter than any flare. Zillan closed her eyes. Somewhere up there, someone was listening. Then came the roar, the sound of engines. 3 ships broke through the clouds, dark and fast. Zillan stood in the open snow once more. She raised both hands. I'm not running. The ships hovered. Weapons powered up. But something happened. A new signal cut through their comms. Zillan's broadcast. Replayed. Echoed. The captains heard it. Heard the truth. Heard the lies. And for the first time, in a long time, they hesitated. The ships didn't fire. They turned. And left. Just like that. Zillan dropped to her knees, breath shaking. It was over. Not forever. But for now. Liam came to her side. You did it. No, she whispered. We did.